Hello, everybody. I don't even know if I'm audible when I'm doing this because, there's a video playing, and a lot of the times video playing sort of mutes your mic at the same time. But I think it doesn't. Like now, I might need to rely on you guys to know if that's true. I hope it's true. That's kind of fun. But either way, hope we're all doing well. Hope we're feeling good. I'm feeling all right. Mostly. I'm very hurty right now because I was doing various bits and bobs in the garden, and I managed to get a deep-ass splinter that is refusing to come out, which is a little bit of a problem. But that's fine. We move. It's all good. And we have a little bit of a natter. And today's specific natter will be in the form of having a little bit of a conversation about Leeds United's attacking options, because holy wow. I had a look at our side, and we have a shitload of attacking options. I think we are absolutely not short on our potential to go forwards. And I've decided that, previously, I've used a tactics board, and that's been nice, and that's been fine, to show off various tactical thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. I'm going to go a little bit different this time, because I figured there's a very, very quick and easy way of demonstrating tactics when it comes to the world of football. And that very, very quick and easy way of demonstrating the world of football is our good friend from Sports Interactive. If I can find it. Also, you guys are going to have to let me know if my microphone is picking up cars from outside because I've got the window open again. Is Football Manager. See, it's a lovely little tactics screen. It's really, really good at what it does. So when it comes to talking tactics, we'll be hopping over to here to sort of discuss bits and bobs and stuff and things. But what I think is a way of better showing that this isn't a Football Manager stream, just to be very, very clear. This is a demonstrative thing. I have had to load the biggest database that I have ever loaded in Football Manager just to do this stream. So take pity on me. But we do have a lot of various transfers and things to talk about. Hello from New Zealand. Is Cree a done deal now? I think in the realistic sense of the word, Cree was a done deal a couple of days ago. Arlo is losing his note. I may need to be back in a minute. But in a real world sense, basically Cree was done the other day because it just sort of was. You don't have absolutely everyone reporting about it that much, only for the move to not happen, because agents wouldn't leak that, because at that point you have a chance of killing the deal if it's not done. Clubs wouldn't leak that because on the West Ham side, not a chance in hell do West Ham let that information get out and not immediately hunt people down if it's not happening. And yeah, in essence, it's functionally done, is the way that I would describe it, I think. Which leaves us with a raft of various attacking options to discuss that will consistently be chopping and changing, and as time goes along, we'll end up finding what the best version of our attacking lineup is. But we're going to have to talk through absolutely everyone that is in the squad. We will also talk about potential future signings, because I've just realised that wasn't one of my banners. But we will include that. And we're going to start by areas, I think. And I think for each of these, we're going to do lots and lots of polls. You guys are going to have to get involved with this one. I'm deeply sorry. I know it can be a little bit tough. But I've got some very fun ideas for this, where, in essence, we will be picking the Leeds side for the season ahead. So, I'm going to start with a basic poll. What formation are we going? Are we going with a 4-2-3-1? Or are we going with a 3, a 4, and a 3? What, like in the 4-back? They're both feasible options. They're both fine. But it's a good question. Will we bring in a replacement for Cree, or will Willy or Georgie take his place? I think in the first team, you're likely to see Gnonto taking his place, because Gnonto really likes playing out over on that left flank. When it comes to the slightly different like depth stuff, I think we'll get a replacement in, someone that will be able to cover in the event of injuries, because I think we are still, as much as every player that we've got that plays at the top of the pitch can play really, really well to a decent standard, like almost every single player that we've got would get into a championship side. And that is like a playoff fighting championship side. I don't really know if it's deep. Like, if we get injuries, then we have problems. And if we have problems, then we feel sad, which is fairly basic stuff. People tend to be leaning towards the 4-2-3-1, which is quite interesting. I'll let that poll run for another minute. And I've got some very interesting thoughts on the way that we're going to be running that 4-2-3-1. In the same way that I had interesting thoughts on the 3-4-3. But either way, I think it could be very fun to watch. Let's just make that a little bit more like what that has to look like. Cool. I love that Bamford's been working with Joseph, teaching him about positioning, and his positioning's been epic in pre-season. Yeah, it's almost as if some of us have been saying for a very, very long time that Bamford is a distinctly good footballer. He's just got fitness issues. I feel like this conversation is going to start again, because I really, really like this one. Because there was a reason I put him on the thumbnail, and that's because people would be like, "We're picking Bamford," and it was like, well, maybe if we watch through the video, we'll find out. Perhaps, if we're lucky. If not, then that's personal choice. But we are going to end up going with that 4-2-3-1, which, when you look at it on the face of it, sorry, I'm in quite a lot of pain because I got lots and lots of splinters trying to save the dog from eating some concrete glue. We go back to this lovely, lovely screen. You go back to the lovely, lovely lineup. We got the 4-2-3-1. That makes sense. That's all good. That's fine. Just going to quickly change the resolution and settings. Just because that is going to make things look a lot more visible for you guys. And, you know, I mean, I like visible things. Being able to see shit, spectacular. Is it general settings? This is risky. Confirm changes, please work. I've increased the size of the text by like another 75%, so this could be a problem. But I guess we'll have to find out, won't we? Once the skin has changed. The option of the 3-4-3 was also there, which I think was quite interesting. Thank you very much, Football Guru, for the 1 membership. It's massively appreciated. For anyone that is not yet a channel member, it's 99p. It's all going to Prostate Cancer UK until I do the charity walk / the first day of the season. So it'll be massively appreciated. There we go. That's a lot bigger. I like that. Cool. 4-2-3-1. That is colossal. With the entire squad here. So 4-2-3-1 being the shape that we're talking about is a pretty good shape, and we're going to talk about individual players as we're going through this. So first up, I think a player that we need to discuss is Willy Gnonto. Willy Gnonto, here he is, who in terms of attacking numbers last season was honestly, I think, pretty great. Like, I'm going to have to bring up all the stats and data from last time out. Check out the previous season. If it's going to pull up. Of course it is. Toggle per 90 stats. Yeah, Gnonto was a very, very good forward last season. 0.11 assists per 90, 0.43 goals per 90, which meant that basically a little more often than every other game, he would be involved in a goal. So he has very, very firmly staked a claim, I think, to be Cree's replacement. Also going to suggest we ignore the star ratings because they are completely irrelevant to us right now. I genuinely think there's an argument for Willy Gnonto starting. I know that there's a lot of people that are saying that we should have sold Gnonto. I can't really get behind that argument. That doesn't seem like a very sensible argument, in my opinion, just because you don't sell a player because they wanted to leave last year. That feels at best daft and at worst Stupid. Can you imagine Gnonto starts if there were no shenanigans at the start of last season? Oh, that would have been so good. You would have got, let's have a think, 0.43 times about 46 is a big number. I think he'd be on track for about 20 goals, assuming the per 90 numbers would have been accurate, which would have been great. I mean, him getting 20 goals and a bunch of assists, fantastic. Honestly, madness. But at the same time, you've got to take the goals away from James because only one of them's going to be on the pitch at the same time. Except this season, where we might have both. But we'll have to find out more about that. I'm going to pop up the next quick poll then and wonder if not only Gnonto is going to start, but if he won't be here, because I think that's a very good topic of conversation. Because whilst there is a lot of discussion going on around the world of football, around what's going on with good old Wilfried, I'm a little bit spooked by the idea that he could be on the way out because he's an incredibly good footballer, and I think it'd take a lot of money for us to sell him. And I think the only interest right now is from a couple of clubs in Serie A. So you've got a little bit of interest coming out of Genoa, apparently. Forget hindsight, let's think foresight. Yeah, I agree. And I think the very concept of foresight says that if Gnonto is really, really good, you probably play him. But this is where we have the problem, isn't it? Oh, we've got a few people thinking that we might actually sell Willy, which I thought was a little bit of a surprise. Hello, Degenerate Yellow. How are you doing? Hopefully very, very well. But it seems to be lots and lots of people think that Gnonto starts. So we'll put Gnonto here for now. We're going to get to something long-term going forward because I think we've got something quite interesting to discuss. Next up, we've got Dan James. Dan James is, in my opinion, one of, and this might be a wild take, but the way I'm phrasing it won't help me, one of the more dedicated players Leeds United have had for an extended period of time. He joined the club a couple of seasons after the rug was pulled out from under him, where he was unable to play for us, which won't have been fun for him in the slightest. He would have felt genuinely abysmal as a result of that. Immediately following this, goes to Scum, plays there a bit, scores in Europe. Very nice. Then Leeds come back in for him. £25 million. And Scum, who need to sell a couple of players, are like, yeah, sure, go on, you can have it. And James comes in and he plays for the manager that initially wanted him for a few months. And these months are primarily spent out of position. James is, without a doubt, a winger. And we played him at 9 in the one season we had him in the Premier League, which was silly. Very, very silly. Admittedly, it was Rafinha that he was competing with for that place, but we've got 2 wings, and there were periods where Harrison wasn't quite on the ball, and he was having the odd problem, and it's like, well, we could have janked things about. Had my prostate removed on Wednesday. Oh, damn. I hope you're all right. Love DJ, but we have someone with magic who should play on the right, probably. This is where things get complicated. Because Dan James, in spite of everyone having their reservations, played 2,500 minutes last season, which is a decent amount of football. He scored 13 times and he got 7 assists. The joke didn't die a death. It didn't quite feel like the right time considering George's message. I'm sorry. Yeah, 20 goal involvements from what was effectively a bit part player is incredible. It's great. And you're not going to turn down a player that is of that sort of level. So, with that in mind, let's run the poll again. What happens with Dan James? Does he start or he's on the bench? We should have Dan James starting every week. Yeah, I think I agree. I don't know. There are a few confusing things about this whole thing that weirdly have made me think, like, is a 3 at the back the more attacking formation for Leeds right now? I don't know. It's quite hard to work out. But there's a reason that I've called this stream Impossible Choices, and that's because I'm getting you guys to make some impossible decisions for me. Because let's be honest, they're not easy to make. Looking at our squad, it is wild how good it is from the back to the front. And the only issue, in my opinion, is a little bit of depth. Dan James is someone I thought Ipswich would go in for, but I now see we're linked with Jack Clark. Are you just actively linked with every single player that Leeds are linked with? Because it's feeling like that's becoming a trend. It's constant. I don't quite understand it. But we've had a little bit of a response on the Dan James thing. It is a lot closer than the Gnonto question. I've had 17 votes thus far. If you haven't voted just yet, I'm not closing the poll for another moment. So hop on, give that a pop. But it's 59 to 41% at the minute. If you've got strong opinions on Dan James, then just shout them at me in the chat. Because at the end of the day, we are trying to build a squad for Leeds at the minute. But we've got Gnonto over here, which means we've got James over here. And at the moment, I'm going to close that poll in a couple of seconds. I'll say 5, I'll say 4, 3, 2, and 1. There we go. We are finishing up. 19 votes, 63% say Dan James starts. Brilliant. He's on the right wing at the minute. Now. Georginio Rutter. Good old Georgie boy. What a spectacular gentleman. This one, I don't feel I have to go into that much detail about. Because I love Georgie. He's fun. He makes me enjoy the game of football again. Like the fact that he's just happy to be like, oh, you see, I have a nutmeg you. And then he'll just do it again. And it will end with us having a spectacular chance, and he's put on another assist. And he is one of, not even one of, I would call him the most creative player in the Championship this coming season. If I were to have a guess and a stab in the dark. Absolutely, for me, no doubt that it's Georgie. But some of you might have some slightly different opinions. If any one of you doesn't like Georgie, just let me know in the chat. But I don't see many quality players in this squad that come in front of him. Starts or on the bench. I don't think we sell him because I think that would be absolute suicide at this point, and everyone sees that. Like that's not a question. Did you see the video of Georgie on the raft? Hilarious, so Georgie. I didn't. Weirdly, I'd have to give that a look. I have a feeling he could be great on the right wing. It's honestly not a bad shout. Speaking to you from the Premier League in an unknown barricaded location to avoid Gladbach Ultras taking me out. Are you okay there, Callum? That feels like that's not a situation you necessarily should be in. Situations that we should necessarily be in include the fact that currently Georgie, our absolute king, is on 94% saying that he should start. For some reason, someone's voted that he should be on the bench, which is legitimately a shock to me. I've got no idea why. I've pissed off many Germans in the last 45 minutes. What did you do? Best player at the club is Rutter, in my opinion, yeah. Can't wait to see Georgie back in the Premier League with us with confidence and being happy would be tremendous. Yeah, I think the amount of people that wrote him off after that Premier League season was pain because he was coming into the squad like in January with 4 different managers in his first 2 months at the club. And it's like, well, what do you want him to do? Realistically, is he going to do anything good here? No, because you've signed him as a 9 as well, and he's not that at all. But who knows? Georgie, with 24 votes in, a single person, I'm so sorry, but you are firmly in the minority, has said that he will be a benchy boy. I don't think you're going to win that argument, buddy. So we're going to say Georgie starts, which leaves our current lineup at this. Rutter as the number 10. This makes sense. We're still on track for an actual team. Next up, we have a quite interesting one of Brenden Aaronson. Brenden Aaronson spent last season at Union Berlin. When he was on the pitch, he was sort of what we saw in the Premier League, very, very energetic, happy to try and pick an intelligent pass, wanted to create chances, but ended up in a position where it didn't work out for him. Which ain't good. 95 and 4, where did the other go? That's a rounding error. I genuinely feel like this season, especially with what's come out with him having bulked up a bit, and you can visibly see from the preseason friendlies, his positioning has improved and he's getting vastly better at football right now. I feel like he's someone that if we played him would firmly get 20 goals and assists across the length of a season. We're asking where that replacement for Somerville comes from, and I think a big chunk of that could very, very reasonably be Brenden Aaronson. Because he's, admittedly, wasn't the best when he was at Leeds. And that's fine, I understand that. But since coming back, I really sort of like what he's been doing. I like the fact that he looks like he's physically improving himself and getting in the best possible condition for the season ahead, which means that, especially like, and this is just, I know it's pre-season and I know that you can't read into it, but with Brenden Aaronson, the way that he's been playing with us in the squad means that his interplay with Rutter looked way better than we looked with Somerville on the pitch, which tells me that that's probably going to be happening. So what I'm going to ask you now is the question that you all probably expect I'm going to ask you now, which is what happens with Brenden Aaronson? Does he start or is he on the bench? Is he a bench option? In my opinion, I'm probably putting him on the start list. I think. If Brenden doesn't cut in the Championship, he won't in the Premier League. To me, he's a headless chicken at times. I don't think we've seen enough of him right now to say that he is that headless chicken. I think it's tough. In my opinion, he starts, because you also need to consider the fact that would he have really started so much of this pre-season if he wasn't going to be starting? I don't think so. I think he's our option on the left at the minute. But you guys seem to be disagreeing with me. We are 19 votes in. Will Ipswich go in for James? I think even if Ipswich go in for James, we don't say yes. It's not really a question, I think. When we also sell Gnonto, fuck's sake. Right. This is going to have to be a conversation, isn't it? Crescencio Somerville sold as a base fee for £25 million, which if you compare that to the sort of average fee you get for selling players from the Championship, is a pretty decent fee. You add in the add-ons, and it's increased to £34 million. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to have to double-check this. But off the top of my head, that will be the fourth highest fee Leeds United have ever earned for a player. Ever. Whilst we are in the Championship. The league where you have to sell players for cheap. Because the alternative is you don't sell the players and you end up in financial problems. We can say as much as we like that, yeah, we sold him on the cheap. We should have gotten £40 million. We've got 34. Who's above him? I'm just bringing up the thing now so I can be 100% certain. I'm specifically going to use the pound as my little frame of reference, because fluctuations in the euro and the fact that we are not based in the Eurozone means that using the euro would be absolutely stupid for this. First place is Rafinha, who was like 55 million quid-ish. Then Calvin Phillips, who was 40. Equal with Archie Gray, who was also 40. Annoyingly, Transfermarkt has Rio Ferdinand down as 46 million euros, but that's when the euro was piss weak compared to the pound, and it was about 30-ish million I think. So he comes in behind Rafinha, Calvin Phillips, and Archie Gray. That ain't a bad fee. I don't know about you, but that's a pretty solid amount of cash, in my opinion, to be earning for a player when you are in the Championship. Understand all that, but we have to spend a lot to get a player that possibly could produce the same numbers. No, we don't. We do not. Because this is... Everywhere you looked in that Leeds United squad last season in the front line were people that were fairly consistent in the goals per 90 numbers. Dan James, more assists per 90 than Crescencio Somerville. Crescencio Somerville's goals per 90, by the way, 0.49. Great. Fantastic. Admittedly. I'm not going to do him down because he was a brilliant player when he was at Leeds. But after that, you then have Pat Bamford, 0.48. Dan James, 0.47. Joel Piroe, 0.46. Gnonto, 0.43. And then there's a bit of a drop-off. There isn't a lack of goals at Leeds United. That's not a problem that we have at the minute. I severely doubt we're signing Ryan Kent. And you say that we have to spend a lot to get a player that could possibly produce the same numbers. Somerville in the first place cost us £1.5 million. Rexaki, who tore up the EFL when he was down at Charlton, was fantastic. A hell of a lot of goals. Even, let's have a look. The example that I used yesterday was Morgan Whittaker, because I think he's a really good, really promising winger who would be, what was Plymouth's price again? It was something like £10 million that Plymouth would be charging, which still leaves us with, on the initial fee, not even the entire thing, a profit of £15 million. It's colossal. It's nuts. He very nearly matched Somerville's goals per 90 number. And the season before that, his assists per 90 were 0.36. And I'm going to have to quickly compare that with Leeds' numbers. Also, apologies. There is a whatever the fuck outside with an annoying engine. Yeah, the only player that got more assists per 90 last season at Leeds was Georgie. So you can get these high-quality players in the Championship for fees that aren't 40 million quid. We will be profiting, and we will have replaced him. And admittedly, yeah, there's risk there. But at the same time, we have to admit that a player's market value is only what someone is willing to pay. I think Gnonto moves into the Somerville position and we sign a new winger for a similar deal to when we got Gnonto. Yeah, I think that could make sense. Sign someone that is affordable from the continent. And yeah. How much decline in price would a sale of Somerville be if he stayed this season and we got promoted? That's not the question, though. Because the question also includes the fact that Somerville did want to go. Like, very specifically, on one of the reports that basically came out when this move was in progress, Sky Sports Premier League, I think, released a video saying that he was keen on the move. Just because he wasn't doing it publicly like Gnonto did, doesn't mean that Somerville didn't want to move, and he wouldn't have wanted to play a second season in the Championship. That's why, for the entire window, we'd been hearing stories about Somerville's been linked with Chelsea and Liverpool and Fulham and West Ham and Palace. Because the more that agent spreads the net wide and gets interest from various clubs and tips off journalists to say, look, our player's moving, the less likely it looks that Somerville actually wanted to stay. I don't think he did. I think, genuinely, that move was happening, no matter what. And that's fine. That happens. It's now a question of how much money can you get, which was £34 million. And how do you replace that? Some of the add-ons are a bit mad, though. Champions League and a trophy bonus. I think one of them was just qualifying for European football. And to be fair, West Ham did win a trophy like a year ago. So it could be significantly worse. But We were mid-poll, weren't we? It was Brenden Aaronson, and 42% is saying that he starts, which means 58% are saying bench, which means he ain't going to be starting in this version of the Leeds United lineup. I'm sorry, Brenden, but you're left to one side. Joe Leeds want Wes Burns. Do we? Really? Where's Wes Burns even play? Other than Ipswich, obviously. Right, anyway, next player on the list, we've just done Aaronson, is someone that baffles me, someone that gives me a headache. It's Joel. I don't know what to do with Joel. I don't know whether Joel is a 10. I don't know whether Joel is a 9. I think one of his best performances came when he was playing as a number 9 in the Norwich match, but I think he more commonly plays as a 10, which doesn't work because we've already got Georgie, who is a fantastic number 10. Unless you guys think that Georgie will be playing in a wider role this season, in which case you can vote for Piroe to start. Like, totally vote the way that you want to vote. Don't vote the way that other people have decided so far. We have plenty of potential starters, but we just can't start them all. Yeah, that's we'll dive into that. Get your point. Just hate to be a selling club. Yeah, I know. It's a pain, but sadly, whilst we're not promoted, it's where we have to be, which saddens, but that's how it is. Piroe doesn't fit the system. He maybe fit in a 3-4-1-2. Yeah, I don't think we need to talk that much on Piroe because I think we all know the ongoing discussion around him of what he do. I love Joel. Will score goals and play him correctly, please. So the next question is quite simply, what happens with Piroe? Does he start or is he on the bench? Bosh. And I don't know. That's the thing. He's very clearly a good player, and we know that when it comes to having a go, he's more than happy to just lamp it. See what happens. His XG every game was brilliant, 0.42, and he outperformed it. So he's clearly a good finisher. Just does it turn into that end product for me? And it varies, which is a pain in the arse. 40.5% shot accuracy too. He'd have 2.6 shots per 90, which is not huge, to be fair, looking at the numbers of the people around him on that list. But I'm very surprised with the proportion of folks that were saying to leave Piroe on the bench. But we're on 71% saying not to start Joel Piroe, which I get that. Fair enough. Depends on how aggressively Farke wants us to press. If an aggressive press is the priority, then I say Aaronson in the 10, but otherwise Piroe. Yeah, I think depends on the pace that we want to play at. But that leaves Piroe not in the starting 11. Right. I'm going to ask you guys this question of, do we want to have the Bamford conversation now, or do we want to have the Bamford conversation a little bit later? Because there's a lot to be said on both sides. And I think we are picking this theoretical side on the belief that everyone is fit. Because otherwise it's a bit pointless, because then I could just say, yeah, but what happens when Gnonto gets injured? Who goes in? Yeah, for me, do we do the Bamford chat now? Fuck it, we do the Bamford chat now. Right, so Paddy Bamford, Patrick Bamford, our number 9. At least, literally number 9. It's a big question. It's weird and complicated, right? So I'm going to do the stats bitch thing for a minute. And I'm going to have a look at various things such as results. So he came back into the side for the Peterborough United game. We won that match 3-0. And Pat Bamford scored probably the best goal that I've seen a Leeds forward score for a very long time. I would argue that if it was in something that wasn't the FA Cup, it would have probably won the Puskas Award, but it didn't, and that's a shame. Did it? Have they voted for that yet? I don't know. After that Peterborough match, which we won 3-0, we then proceeded to play against Cardiff City, which... How do I get a version of this where I see the lineups? Right, hold on. LUFC data. This might take me a moment. Talk amongst yourselves whilst I get this sorted. Whilst I fix things. Matches, there we go. Does this have the players for each of the matches? I don't know. We'll get to that, Andy. This is why it's a conversation, not a speech. 1 second, I'm just waiting on LUFC data to load. Stop that screen share, start a new screen share. Yeah, Bosh, matches. Cool. This will load in a minute, and this will show us the matches that happened last season. Okay, right, so Peterborough. Bamford starts, scores. Cardiff City, 3-0 win. Bamford starts, scores. Preston, which we had lost, 3-4 weeks earlier? Bamford starts, we win 2-1. Bamford starts the match against Norwich, scores, we win 1-0. The next match against Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup, Piroe starts, we don't win. Followed by a match against Bristol, where Bamford starts and Leeds United win. Are we seeing a pattern? Next match against Plymouth, less rotated side, we win 4-1. Very nice, love to see it. Next league match, Bamford, back in the starting 11, scores, we win. Match after that, Swansea City, we win 4-0. That's quite nice. I completely forgot about that match. Bamford doesn't start, but it's fine. Bamford also doesn't start here because he's got a knock. But then, match against Leicester City. The match against Leicester City sees Pat Bamford come on the 65th minute, when throughout the majority of that match, we had looked fucking horrendous. Awful. Genuinely bad. We weren't threatening to press at all. We were getting pinned back into our own box, and at that point we were 1-0 down. Bamford comes on, James comes on, Roberts comes on. Immediate change. Scores a goal to make it 3-1. Spectacular. Genuinely excellent, and to show that when he's on the pitch, we improve. Followed by Chelsea, which he didn't play in. Huddersfield Town, 1-1 draw. Bamford scores our only goal after starting. Stoke City, Bamford starts, we win 1-0. Sheffield Wednesday, Bamford starts, scores, we win 2-0. Millwall, Bamford starts, we win 2-0. Watford, 2-2 draw. Bamford starts. Hull, 3-1 win. Bamford start. There's a pattern here in that from this match here... No, in fact, fuck it. Yeah, he started against Birmingham City as well. So from New Year's Day until the 6th of April, when Patrick Bamford started, we looked significantly better. We would win a lot more. And this bad run here, Piroe starts against Blackburn. We lose to a Schmodix goal. This is the point that annoys me. Because you're saying Bamford had one good season. In terms of numbers, sure. In terms of goal scoring, Bamford had one good season in the Premier League. I have just shown you a 4-month stint in which Patrick Bamford is essential to the way we perform. Where when Pat isn't there, like The first match against Plymouth Argyle, we struggle. Because we've not got that motion in the final third, because Piroe is static. And then you look at like the numbers themselves, which, if we're saying like the stats matter, he still managed to score 8 goals last season, despite only starting 15 matches. Per 90, he was, if things will load properly, our second best goal scorer that wasn't Luis Sinisterra, who only played twice. 0.48 goals per game, which means that every other game you can probably expect a goal from him. He brings everyone else into play because we visibly looked better, causes their defence's problems, makes things vastly easier. The winning run started at the beginning of January when he had his first full start. And this is a fair point, yeah. He'll have injuries. That happens. And I think the issue with the seasons before this last one were Pat got injured for the 21-22 season, spent most of it out, was rushed back, scored a goal, got re-injured in that time. And the issue was people trying to bring him back early, time and time again. And since then, when he's fit, I think he's the best centre forward that we've got. But the question is, what do you guys want to do? And that was the first time I'd actually looked at those like scores and his starts and stuff. It's wild. Take away Piroe's penalty goals and Bamford's goals per minute look even better. That's a point. What happens with the non-penalties? Holy shit. Yeah, Bamford is our best goals minus penalties scorer, with Dan James in second place and Gnonto in third per 90. That's a damn good front line, you know. Anyway, I was starting a poll. What happens with Pat? Does he start or does he go on the bench? I'm going to run that poll now. I'm going to explain in a minute what I would have done a little bit differently to the early decisions that you guys made, because I think we've got a little bit of an embarrassment of riches at the club right now. We're a little bit too good. All over the pitch. And that it's going to lead to some tough decisions, and a lot of people are going to be very, very mad a lot of the time. And I'm going to have to ask a follow-up poll in a minute just to check something, because I've got a little bit of a theory going at the minute, and I want to know what you guys sort of respond with. Been impressed by Matteo Joseph in preseason. Yeah, same. Like, completely, he is a very, very good footballer, which means that this is a much tougher question than it would normally be. I want Farke to rotate way more than he did last season, pretty please. I think he will, because we've got that greater guarantee of quality now. Because now we know that Matteo is good. Now we know that Piroe can... Well, we know what Piroe does best. And now we've got that little bit more strength in depth. We're going to be slightly less weary of making substitutions, I think. If Bamford can stay fit, he needs to start. I think that's a lot of people's concern. It's the if. People like there to not be an if, and I completely get that. And I'll give it another minute or two. Well, I'll say a minute or two, about a minute. There we go. If you've not yet voted on the Bamford poll, please do so. So we've got as much data as we can. We do love the numbers, being stats bitch and all that. But I just think it could be interesting to find out. And whilst you're doing... fuck me, Andy. You're picking Bamford on past glory, he's not in the here and now. I've just shown you shit that's happened in the last 8 months. That's the definite. I don't. What more in terms of current stuff could possibly be demonstrated to say he's not a bad striker right now? It's this, and yeah, a little bit, because I've always been in the position that if I've made a statement and it has been disproven, fine, change the take. When you are coming into a thing with a pre-established belief that isn't based on like much, let's be honest. When you've got that pre-established take in your head and you just refuse to change from it, and you're basing it on things like past glories as your assumption as to why other people aren't being accurate. I'm talking about last season, from January until April, 4 months ago. In terms of matches, how many matches ago was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Leeds have played 9 matches since that. Bamford himself has played 1 where he scored, 2, 3. 3 times. So I don't know. He was considered for England, not now in the here and now. Well, we're in the Championship. You don't need an England striker in the Championship. Just because someone isn't at the peak that they were at for, was it 4 years ago? I don't know. Yeah, 3 years ago. Just because someone isn't at that same peak now and is now about here, doesn't mean that here is awful. It means that there's been this shift. And that's fine. But at the same time, Leeds have shifted from Premier League to the Championship. Okay. Dave's back. Oh, so he is. Are you fancying a donation to Prostate Cancer UK this time? Or are we still going to come and try and make some people miserable, which doesn't fucking work, and build from there? Or are we just... No. Somerville has not officially left yet. No. It's still awaiting various bits and bobs. I've literally just said that he has declined. Word for word. But the fact that someone has gotten worse doesn't mean that they're worse than Championship level. But that's that poll done. Let's move to the next poll. Also, I have popped the Just Giving to the charity walk in the chat. I've now pinned it. So if you have a couple of spare pennies that you would like to chuck towards a charity that is worth your time, then that'd be massively appreciated. The walk starts in 25 hours now, which is spooky, but it should be fine. But we do have the final player to discuss. It's our good friend Matteo. Well, not the final one, but we're going to cover Joffy quickly. Joffy came in with a hell of a lot of promise, and Joffy slid a little bit, which we all know. I think this one doesn't need that much of a discussion because I feel like it's basically decided, but I kind of have to ask the question, you know. Does Gelhardt start? I'm very surprised that there's someone that said yes. I'll be completely honest with you. I thought it was going to be a big old no. But then again, one of them might just be Div, our new bestie. Invite KG on Talk Bamford, that'd be fun. Oh, maybe, yeah. Oh, that could be fun. I'm going to bring out all the numbers. It's just going to be like an hour of stats bitch. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, Joffy looking like I know we knew this would be the case, but Matteo Joseph is the striker that has so far started all the preseason friendlies, which is the fuck was that? Which is nice. He's played genuinely very well. He scored, I think, 3 or 4 goals, plenty, and he is looking like an absolute machine. His positioning is improving, reportedly because he has been talking to Bamford on positioning and movement and stuff like that, which is something that he sort of excels in. And the fact that that knowledge is getting passed from player to player, I think is really, really important for our future going forwards. It's not going to be future going backwards, you stupid bastard. What are you talking about? And yeah, basically, Matteo Joseph, I think, is a quite interesting one. And I think I know what the answer is going to be on this one. But it's worth asking anyway. I feel like it's going to be a big ol' yes to does Matteo Joseph start? But it's only fair. We got to ask the question. Thank you very much, Football Guru, by the way, for another membership. Thank you very much. With all that still going to Prostate Cancer UK, which I found out the numbers a little bit earlier, by the way, because I was a little bit curious on doing a deep dive into Prostate Cancer UK. Turns out that 1 in 8 men in their lives will end up with prostate cancer, which is genuinely a stat that makes me very, very sad. So the more charities like this can do their work, the better, basically. Has there been a release date for the 3rd kit, or when do you think it'll be released? Oh, I've not seen a date yet. I imagine it'll be the next couple of weeks. No, in fact, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look at Leeds fixtures. I don't need to look at Leeds fixtures because I've got my lovely planner. It turns out it's just a repurposed teacher planner. But I was like, right, I need to keep track of absolutely everything if I can. So let's head to the start of August. Leeds Portsmouth, we are playing at home. That will be a home kit job. Leeds Borough, we're at home. That'll be a home kit job. West Brom, Leeds. It's got to be a away kit, surely. Sheffield Wednesday, Leeds. That one could be the 3rd kit. So I'd say the latest on the 23rd, but I'd expect the next couple of weeks. Yeah, this is very firmly Matteo Joseph, isn't it? 26 votes, 100% of them saying Matteo to start, which is fair enough. Also, I saw the Awake announcement video a while back and thought it was class. I've been keeping it with the channel, so I thought I'd say no. You're welcome to pop in anytime. You are our least insane Ipswich fan around these parts, I'd say, which is a hell of a label, I think. The least insane of the Ipswich fans. And then we got one more question. One more pretty big question. Which I'm going to start a poll for. Do we get any more attacking signings? Yes, 10. Yes, bring up. Both or neither. So I don't think we'll get a 9. I think we're sorted for 9s. I think if we signed a number 9, we would just be blocking the pathway for Matteo, which would be bad because everyone wants Matteo to play. Evidently, like we've seen this. Oh, that yes, 10 does not mean yes, we'll get 10 signings. By the way, that means that yes, it'll be a number 10. Whilst that is happening, by the way, I'm gonna quickly do the test runny thing. If you do get an ad, please tell me and do the click on it thing, because I am still, for some reason, I've not got the data through from the last stream yet, so I'm still trying to work out if it actually provides more value in general. Richard says, please consider giving to Joe's fantastic cause and even try making a monthly donation to a very worthy charity. You never know when you or someone close will need them. Yeah. It's basically my stance on it. That I feel like anyone else would help in that same situation, which makes it important that I can help other people if I'm in a situation in which I can, you know? It's weird. But based on the poll, so lots of people think we'll get a 10, with in total 64%. Music, Canary Island. What? Canary Islands? Ad clicked on. Thank you. Won't be around tomorrow, so is a bit for your work. Thank you very much, the 78 RPM Saviour. Massively appreciate that. Cheers. Winger, 52% think we'll get a... Whoa, oh, the numbers are moving. 50% think we'll get a winger, which is also interesting. Love Rothwell's profile, would like someone similar, but with a bit more pace and range. Yeah. That's more sort of midfield chat, though, I think. Does it count as attacking? I don't know. That's not Whitaker's name. That's not even a little bit Whitaker's name. You're aiming for Morgan and you've landed at Rogan. When he comes in, we'll call him Seth. Oh, that's great. It reminds me of a few years ago they did a Muppets series in which it was basically like... Well, there was one that was like a sketch show and there was one that was like The Office but Muppets. And there was just a running joke of 3 babies who were getting babysat by various celebrities, and one of them just walk up to Seth Rogen and just go, Rogen! It was the weirdest shit, and it just broke me. It was fantastic. If Gnonto stays, we can't really offer anyone the guaranteed playing time is the issue. Yeah. I think playing time is going to be a struggle for basically anyone, but you could also point to last season and say, right, look, all of... I'm going to try and sort this in a sensible manner. Hold on. All of James and Somerville and Bamford and Gnonto and Rutter and Piroe managed to get more than 1,000 minutes last season. And we're likely to do more rotating this season, considering we've actually got the talent there. Jaden Anthony got himself 500 as well, so it's not too bad. What's the insane decision? The insane decision is the decision that we have to make in terms of who is on the pitch for Leeds United, which right now, the gang, the team, the ladies and gentlemen and chaps have effectively decided. I've also accidentally just left StreamYard, so I'll be 1 second. Quick little stop the screen, present, share the screen, share the screen, share the window. Bosh. This is the lineup that we are reportedly looking like doing, which is going to be Dan James out on the right-hand side. Jesus, that's big. Willy Gnonto on the left. He'd be more of like an inside forward guy. Rutter as your lovely little playmaker in the middle. Matteo as your number 9. Behind that, I don't know. Firpo, I would say definitely left back. I wouldn't swap him. And Jadon Bogle on the right-hand side, who I think will do absolute bits for us. He's already got 2 assists for Matteo Joseph in 2 consecutive matches. So no problems with that. That is a very, very strong side. I don't personally see any big weaknesses in that, which is good. There's a nice cream van. Shit. Oh, but it sounds so delicious. Fun fact. Are you done? Let's start again. Legally, ice cream bands are only allowed to play their music for a certain amount of time at once, and then they have to leave a sort of gap because it sort of breaks the peace or something like that. Insane decision, we've got to listen to Joe's biased views. Yeah, there is that. But at the same time, I've got to listen to your take that 4 months ago was too far in the past to be considered accurate for a footballer's level. So using that thinking, I think Crescencio Somerville hasn't done anything in the last 4 months, and £34 million was in fact robbing West Ham. I'm messing. Hang on. Cool. Still waiting for a surprise before the close. When you were speaking with Crystal, she did say 49ers were closed, but with business sometimes do something out of the blue. I think something like that will happen. Would you rather have Gruev or Rothwell start alongside Amps? I think that depends on the team. Subjective. No. I'm not having the argument that 4 months ago is living in the past. I can bend on a lot of points of discussion, but things that happened 4 months ago are not too far away to be considered now. Wild take. On this one, it depends who we're playing against. Against a Portsmouth who are more likely to do defensive stuff, I think I probably lean Rothwell because he does more of the ball carrying stuff. Against teams where I might need to sit in a little bit more and deal with counters, I would probably go with Gruev. Just because Gruev is good at everything on the entire pitch and he makes me very happy. I enjoy Ilya Gruev. You see the one voted to sit on the bench. I think Andy said to put Rutter on the wing. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm going to pop up one more quick banner. We are going to visit Question Corner, which is where if anyone's got any questiony bits and bobs, we'll keep the stream running for a couple more minutes. We'll have a little bit of a natter. And it'll be nice. With that lineup, do we even need a Cree replacement? Keep the cash for the Prem. It would be less a case of keeping the cash for the Prem and more a case of keeping the PSR space for the Prem. Cash flow, financially, we are fine. Our owners are incredibly rich, are in many cases actual billionaires, and it includes Will Ferrell. Hello, Nikki. It would be a case of how comfortable are we feeling on PSR and stuff like that. 4 months is technically in the past in terms of time, just like 1 minute is in the past, but 4 months is definitely relevant. Yeah, I mean, Matteo hasn't scored a goal in a very, very, very long time because it's been at least like 4 days. Lad Hamilton's been linked to Leeds. He's a good player. Who is Hamilton? Are you going to the Briarstones for a beer on Sunday? I don't think so. I think on Sunday I will be finishing the charity walk and collapsing a bit and getting an ice cream. Plus, I don't drink, which is something that seemingly a few people don't quite know. But yeah, if anyone sees me around the place and wants to buy me a drink, don't do that because I don't. You should instead give to Prostate Cancer UK. Joe, when are you doing F1 again? I don't know. I really, really wanted to do more of them, but the issue is I'm at a spot where the YouTube algorithm is, in the kindest way possible, an absolute bastard. So if you are someone that does a niche thing, which in my case is Leedsy football stuff, the niche, people that watch your stuff will keep getting recommended stuff in that niche. When you do an F1 stream, that's not in the niche, which means that you're hoping people from here drift over to here, and a lot of the time that doesn't happen, which then YouTube goes, oh shit, people aren't watching you anymore, and doesn't recommend your stuff. Basically, if you want to do something original and fun, YouTube will kill you, which is a nightmare. But it's a nightmare that we're living in. Joey, you break my heart, just do it on Twitch. I might do. I'm planning on doing more F1 stuff. Whether it's just like me doing it as me, but Yeah, I might do it on Twitch. We'll see. Yeah, that'd be Mika Hamilton. I don't know enough about him. And it's one of those where I don't want to accidentally do misleading words because I like being very, very accurate by attacking midfielder or winger. Age of 21. He'll be nice to me forever. I mean, I would hope you do that anyway. Okay. 20 years old, 21 in November. The issue with Mika Hamilton is he's not played a single minute of senior football. And that scares me. He does have a good record in PL2. And if it is permanent, sure, might be worth it. But I don't know. Risky, I think. Unless it's free or cheap. But it's Man City, and their entire business model is, look at us, our youngsters are so expensive. Scored in the Champions League, apparently. Did he? Hold on, I've got it on domestic leagues only. Oh, well, yeah. Shit. So he did. When the fuck did you get a Champions League game for now? Okay, to be fair, it was against Red Star. It's a tough sell, I'll be honest. It's not the most convincing. But it's fine. But either way, I am quite tired, boy. And I still need to do packing for the walk tomorrow. If anyone hasn't donated yet, that'd be massively appreciated. It would be, what's PL2? It's like the youth league for the Premier League. Yeah. I'm going to end roughly there because I have a lot of packing to do and a lot of prep bits to do. If you haven't donated to the Just Giving yet, it is pinned in the chat. That's massively appreciated if you could help. I'm so close to that goal of £1,000 at the moment, so if anyone could pop some along, that would be spectacular. Oh boy, do I have some news for you, Harry. I will be walking across the entire width of the North Yorkshire Moors, so it's going to be tough. I'll try and get it on a radio signal or something. I'll try and work something out. Accurately. Do you mean actually? Or accurately? Because actually, yes, and accurately, kind of. It's not the furthest west bit, but it goes all the way to the coast, so I'm counting it. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, like, subscribe, all the fun bits and bobs. And yeah, I will see you later. Ta-ra. Oh, and I'll try and have a video done this evening. And I've got a video with Evie coming tomorrow. If you are a channel member, and this is going to be the little bit of, it's the little hook and bait. If you are a channel member, I will be releasing that at about 5-ish to members first, and then it will come out at some point tomorrow afternoon whilst I'm on the walk. So either way, hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you later. Ta-ra.